giggle. Or babies laugh. Whatever the type of laughter.
WADR 94.9 FM is for you.
Is for you.
Monday to Sunday.
It's hard to explain, okay? But
All day. All year round.
it's so mysterious.
This is who we are.
This is who we are. WADR.
WADR, promoting dialogue.
It's midday in Dakar, 1 o'clock in Lagos. Good afternoon and many thanks for staying tuned to West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM and worldwide on WADR.org. Welcome to Newslink. Here are the top stories. Reactions trail Mahama's comeback as Ghana gets its first ever female vice president.
I'm deeply honored and humbled to receive such an overwhelming endorsement from the Ghanaian people.
In Mali, concerns mount over ECOWAS passport as against withdrawal from regional bloc. Chadian President Debe Itno elevated to the dignity of marshal. And in the Gambia, Human Rights Commission launches training initiative for security forces.
Upholding human rights is not optional. It is a duty enshrined both in our national laws and the international convention and treaties to which the Gambia is a party to.
Please stay tuned for details of these stories and more.
Here is a more edit with Newslink.
Many thanks for joining our broadcast. Let's begin in Ghana, where the Electoral Commission has officially declared former President John Mahama as the winner of the 2024 general elections. President Mahama of the National Democratic Congress defeated 11 other candidates, including incumbent Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, to emerge victorious in the elections. This marks a comeback for the former president, who first led Ghana as president between 2013 and 2016 before losing the 2016 elections to incumbent president Nana Akufo-Addo. Ibrahim Zibrila in Accra completes the story.
The streets of Accra were filled with jubilant party supporters who hit the street to express their excitement at the victory of John Mahama. This was after official announcement from the chairperson of Ghana's Electoral Commission, declaring John Mahama as the winner of Ghana's 2024 presidential elections, securing 56.5% of the valid votes cast.
In the light of the above, ladies and gentlemen, I have the singular honor as the returning officer of the 2024 presidential election to declare His Excellency John Dramani Mahama as the winner of the 2024 presidential election and the President-elect of the Republic of Ghana.
John Mahama, in his victory speech after the declaration, expressed deep gratitude and honor at being overwhelmingly elected by the people of Ghana.
The results of this election, as declared today by the Electoral Commissioner, show that the National Democratic Congress, with me, John Dramani Mahama, as leader, has just chalked one of the most emphatic victories in the electoral history of the Fourth Republic. We have therefore been bestowed with a very outstanding mandate by the good people of Ghana. I'm deeply honored and humbled to receive such an overwhelming endorsement from the Ghanaian people.
The president-elect also confirmed receipt of a congratulatory phone call from incumbent President Akufo-Addo, inviting him to the seat of government on Wednesday to initiate discussions on the transition process. This will mark the fourth peaceful transfer of power between different parties in Ghana's Fourth Republic. The NDC is also expected to win a significant majority in Ghana's next parliament, winning over 180 seats out of the 276. The Electoral Commission revealed that its declaration was without the results of 9 constituencies whose outcome will not have any impact on the winner of the presidential elections. Ibrahim Zibrila from Accra, reporting for the West Africa Democracy Radio.
Meanwhile, as John Mahama takes up the presidency of Ghana from January 7, 2025, the country will also be inaugurating its first ever elected female vice president. Professor Nana Jane Opoku Agyemang is making history as Ghana's first woman to ever attain the high office, giving hope to many women across the country. She is a former Minister of Education and was the first female Vice Chancellor of the University of Cape Coast and was first appointed as running mate of the President-elect, former President John Mahama, in the 2020 elections. Her historic feat comes at a time that Ghana's Parliament has passed the Affirmative Action and Gender Equity Law centered by the President, a legal document to demand gender parity in Ghana. Professor Pokua Jemang has published numerous research papers and books on literature, education, and women's studies. The Vice President-elect is married with 3 children, a Christian and a member of the Methodist Church. Now, concerns are persistent in Mali over the ECOWAS passport following the announcement of the country's withdrawal from the West African Organization. In a recent statement, Prime Minister General Abdoulaye Mega explained that Mali could not immediately part with its current travel document. This release comes as the countries of the Alliance of Sahel states are considering putting into circulation a new common biometric passport in the AES area. A few weeks before Mali's final withdrawal from the West African Sub-Regional Organization, the free movement of people and goods remains a major concern in the country. Last week, during a meeting between Prime Minister General Abdoulaye Mega and civil society actors, the issue was at the center of discussions. According to the head of government, the creation of a new passport takes time, but he gave reassurances that it would be done. While the country's withdrawal from ECOWAS should be confirmed next January, the Sahel states have announced the introduction of a biometric passport in their common space.
More stories coming up on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
In Nigeria, the Federal Capital Territory Police Command Abuja successfully rescued a 4-year-old boy, Hope Evans, who was abducted from Port Harcourt and found in Abuja. The emotional reunion between the child and his biological mother took place at the FCT Police Command, drawing tears of relief and gratitude. Usman Mao reporting from Dolidiyal witnessed the poignant moment that ended the family's 2-week ordeal. Here is his report.
Speaking at the event, the FCT Commissioner of Police, Olatunji Disu, details the sequence of events leading to the rescue.
After 2 weeks of serious work, the young man was recovered and the suspect, Blessing Okoi, was arrested. The funny thing is that another baby was found with Blessing. She claimed the baby was her own, but the father have died some years back. The 2 children found with him, Hope and Destiny, she gave them to her boyfriend, who she told earlier that previously she was pregnant and she had the baby for them. And that one was still worried, trying to find out how to do DNA for them. So it's interesting to know that 2 children were found with Blessing. We are still working to know the father of the other one found.
The Commissioner of Police commended his team for their swift response and reassured residents of their commitment to protecting lives and ensuring justice. The child's mother, Lydia Gabriel, overwhelmed by emotions, expressed her gratitude to the police and all who played a role in reuniting her with her son.
I want to say thank you to the police who has done this great job and this boy is found. Mothers should always go to school to pick their children in time and to be cautious of time too.
Investigations into the motive and circumstances of the abduction are ongoing, and the suspect is expected to face prosecution in the coming days. This successful rescue underscores the importance of community police collaboration in addressing criminal activities and ensuring public safety. For Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, Usman Umar reporting from Abuja.
Meanwhile, as part of Operation Golden Peace aimed at ensuring a secure harvest and peaceful Yuletide in southern Kaduna, northwestern Nigeria, troops of 3 Division Operation Safe Haven have conducted offensive operations against criminal hideouts, neutralizing notorious bandits and rescuing kidnapped victims. Major Samson Zakom, the operations media officer, revealed during a briefing that intelligence-led raids were carried out in different locations in Kaura local government area of Kaduna State, showcasing ongoing efforts to enhance security in the region.
troops conducted an offensive operations into identified criminal hideouts in southern Kaduna, leading to the neutralization of notorious bandits and rescue of kidnapped victims. On 4th of December 2024, security agencies conducted intelligence-based offensive operations at Ruwansenyi, Randa, Rafingora, Libere Geri, and Libere Makaranta in Kauru local government area of Kaduna State. Security forces made contact with bandits who were holding some abducted victims in their hideout at Randa. The superior firepower of the security agency forced the criminals to abandon the victims and flee. 3 of the criminals were neutralized during the exchange of fire. In the process, 25 kidnapped victims were rescued from the criminals' hideout. Security agency exploited the general area and recovered several hard drugs.
Major Samson Zakom is a spokesperson of the Operation Safe Haven. With 160 votes in favor, 2 against and 6 abstentions, the National Councillors approved the elevation of Muhammad Idris Deby to the dignity of Marshal of Chad. The conference on Monday held in the hemicycle was dedicated to the awarding of honorary distinctions to personalities who have shown their commitment to the service of the nation. The session was chaired by Harun Kabadi, President of the National Transition Council, and the presence of the first signatory of the proposed resolution, Army General Muhammad Idris Deby Itno. After the deliberations, the National Councillors unanimously supported this distinction granted to the current Chadian president. The previous month, in response to a Boko Haram attack that killed about 40 Chadian soldiers, Muhammad Idris Deby had launched a special operation called Haskanite to repel the terrorists. He had personally supervised the actions in the Lak province. Elected President of the Republic on May 6 with 61% of the vote, according to the final result proclaimed by the Constitutional Council. Muhammad Idris Deby had previously served as the President of the Transitional Military Council and Transitional President, succeeding his father, former President and Marshal Idris Deby Itno, who died in April 2021. You're listening to Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio 94.9 FM Dakar. Here is a reminder of our top stories. Reactions trail Muhammad's comeback as Ghana gets its first ever female vice president. In Mali, concerns mounts over ECOWAS passport as against withdrawal from regional bloc. Chadian President Deby Itno elevated to the dignity of Marshal. Still ahead in the news, in the Gambia, Human Rights Commission launches training initiative for security forces. We also have the press review, a guest interview, and sports news. Please stay with us.
West Africa Democracy Radio. It's you speaking.
Well, don't forget, we are streaming live on wadr.org, YouTube, and Facebook. Let's cross over to the Gambia as the National Human Rights Commission on Monday launched a groundbreaking training initiative for the country's security forces, focusing on international humanitarian law and sexual and gender-based violence. The program, supported by the Ministry of Justice and funded by the European Union, aimed at enhancing the capacity of military and law enforcement personnel, was developed to ensure that security officers are well versed in international norms regarding the protection of civilians during conflicts and the importance of preventing gender-based violence. Sankuli Duncan Banjo report.
At the launch, the NHRC emphasized the critical role of security forces in upholding human rights, particularly in the context of the Gambia's post-reform transition. Emmanuel D. Juf is the chairman of the National Human Rights Commission.
Upholding human rights is not optional. It is a duty enshrined both in our national laws and the international convention and treaties to which the Gambia is a party to. Through this training manual, we aim to reinforce the understanding that human rights are not abstract, but practical principles that must guide every decision and action. By integrating these principles into your operational frameworks, our security forces can build trust with the communities they serve and contribute to lasting peace and security.
Participants were introduced to key principles of international humanitarian law, including the protection of vulnerable populations, alongside the legal and ethical imperatives surrounding SGBV. Colonel Umar Bojang is the Deputy National Security Advisor.
Indeed, I am happy to report
that the ongoing security sector reform is developing, and various documents and policies and strategies have been developed to ensure that there is adherence to fundamental human rights.
For her part, the Special Advisor for Post-TRC at the Ministry of Justice, Ada Pearson, talks about the importance of the training.
These training modules, developed by the National Human Rights Commission in collaboration with the security sector, are not just tools for learning. They are a testament to the government of the Gambia's commitment to implementing the recommendations of the Truth, Reconciliation and Reparations Commission.
The training is part of a broader effort to strengthen accountability, the security sector reform, improve professionalism, and promote respect for human rights within the nation's security apparatus, as the Gambia continues to advance its human rights agenda.
Sankli Janko filed that report. Meanwhile, statisticians in Africa have called for greater support in the statistical collection with a view to promoting education in Africa. They made a call during the 18th session of the Committee of Directors, National Statistical Office, which is underway in the Gambian capital, Banjul. This year, the theme is contribution of statistics to educate an African fit for building resilient education system for increased access. Nyakasi Sayang is the Statistician General of the Gambia.
I will also remind ourselves about the main objectives of this year's session, which require us to focus our deliberations on ways for producing sound statistics, including those relevant to guiding decision makers for building a resilient education system for increased access to inclusive, lifelong, quality and relevant learning in Africa. According to the 2023 SDG report, based on the current situation, about 80 million children and youth will be out of school and 300 million students will lack basic numeracy or literacy skills by 2030. Also, only 1 in 6 countries will achieve universal secondary completion target. This implies that globally, we as a society are off track in terms of achieving the SDG 4. And the objective of this session are mainly to find out solutions for the attainment of SDG 4, which will require game-changing interventions. As institutions responsible for providing information required for decision-making and policy formulation, it is our joint responsibility to support in providing appropriate statistical information to support global and continental efforts towards the drive to attain this goal. I therefore implore for your full participation during the deliberations.
Nyakasi Sayang is the Statistician General of the Gambia. And back in Senegal, the Customs Department has reported the seizure of illicit drugs, counterfeit medicines and expired food products valued at 1.3 billion CFA francs, about $2 million. These operations were conducted by the River Sea Customs Unit between late November and early December 2024 to combat the trafficking of prohibited products on the high sea. The effort involved Maritime Brigade from Bu, Joal, Fimela, Fodungin, Tapakunda and Cap Skirting, along with the South Littoral Customs Subdivision. Ogeberika completes the story.
The customs operations resulted in the seizure of 407 kilograms of Indian hemp and counterfeit medicines between Nyojo and Tendu, as well as 570 kilograms of Indian hemp and bottles of injectable paracetamol in the Salum Delta. Additionally, the Femela River and Sea Brigade conducted 2 significant operations, initially confiscating 293 kilograms of Indian hemp, followed by another seizure of 114 kilograms, bringing the total to 407 kilograms. Officers also boarded a pirogue carrying 82 cartons of counterfeit medicines. Meanwhile, officers from the Tubakuta Naval Brigade seized 570 kilograms of Indian hemp, along with a large quantity of injectable paracetamol. As a reminder, last November, agents of the Kungel Customs Mobile Brigade, part of the Kafrin subdivision in the Central Customs region, seized seized 210 packets of pure cocaine, weighing a total of 235 kilograms. The total estimated value of the drug was 18,800 million CFA francs, equivalent to over 30 million US dollars. In response to the increasing organized transnational crime at sea, the Customs Department has strengthened the resources of its maritime unit to enhance surveillance and law enforcement. They also urge the public to actively cooperate with customs services to curb all forms of illicit trafficking.
Ogeberika found that report.
This is the newspaper review. Stay abreast and find out what the top stories are in your country.
This is the newspaper review.
The newspaper review.
Well, let's head now to Monrovia as we join Grace Joshua for the newspaper review.
For today's edition of the press review, papers we are following are the Heritage newspaper, the News newspaper, the Daily Observer newspaper, and the Front Page Africa newspaper. On the front page of the Heritage newspaper, rescue mission, no business as usual. Despite claim of reform integrity, the Ministry of Education recent recruitment of district education officer and county officers has come on fire for alleged irregularities. This one said Mines and Energy Minister bans mining activities in Bemben Town. Senator Mangel condemned police invasion of Capitol Hill. Still on the Heritage newspaper, President Bouaka congratulates Ghana President-elect Mahama. Several lawmakers flock at Tension Spark Capitol Hill building. We now move to the Front Page Africa newspaper. On the front page of the Front Page Africa newspaper, the story says, who gave the order? I see the photograph of Imbato Speaker Fonati Kofa here. I bring you a part of that story. I am extremely disappointed. We have on numerous times asked the executive branch that the rule of law must prevail. The disappointing part is we see members of the executive and we see the police brutalizing lawmakers, which is an indication that the so-called absentee lawmakers are getting aid and control from the executive branch in this treasonable plot. Still on the Front Page Africa newspaper, trade, not aid. On the front page of the News newspaper, this story says, NPA boss foster unity launch Bomi County Sport Association. I bring you a part of that story. The managing director of the National Port Authority, Sekou Dule, has underscored the importance of uniting and commitment among citizens of Bomi County to ensure success in the upcoming National County Sport Meet. Youth must be empowered. Bouaka's on Liberia progress. Liberian President Joseph M. Bouaka has told the nation that in order for Liberia to develop, the youth of the country must be empowered through provision of opportunities. Ex-Minnesota Police Chief supports RG comment. Capitol Hill chaos. Lawmaker break loose as budget hearing process begin. We now bring you the Daily Observer newspaper. The story says, Gafuan urge partners to align arrest agenda with CDA. That is how we come to our end of today's edition of the press review.
All right, many thanks, Grace Joshua there in Monrovia.
Politics, analysis on major news, social matters, and all. This is A Guest.
We take you back to our first story where reactions are trailing the declaration of John Dramani Mahama as Ghana's president-elect. Austin Aigbe, who was part of an international election monitoring group, reviews the exercise and the role played by the various political parties. He also lauded the Vice President Mahamudu Bawumia for conceding an early defeat.
There was a seamless electoral process that wasn't more like a do-or-die affair. Even though we know there was some historical background, ahead of the election, issues around threats for violence, a threat to not signing the peace accord. Those were issues before the election, but eventually the peace accord was signed. And even though there were other complications, they would not go to court and they were going to polling units. Again, it had to do with trust deficit. But on the day of election, there was some level of, compared to the Ghana we know from 2016 to 2020, The Ghana you know is a place where voters turn out massively. Election is considered like the real kind of civic duty. But the Ghana we know just had some low turnout. In fact, what is about 65% of turnout, for them it is low. Even though in Nigeria and elsewhere we have not even gotten to that, up to that kind of 60-20% turnout. In fact, the day we are going to get 40% turnout again in Nigeria, we may celebrate. But that's something very unique in a country where young people playing active role in the electoral process. Young people are playing active role in the political party itself. Check almost all the party agents were young people trained to do the job of party agents. Unlike in Nigeria, where most of these young people are not really party members, or they are party members, but they don't understand the party architecture. In Sierra Leone, party agents at the polling unit area, they are well structured. I continue to say, and I will say again, that the party system in Ghana is arguably its strongest democratic instrument.
Do you make out of the fact that even before the results were officially announced by the EC, the current vice president, who was of the NPP, had conceded and made an announcement that he has conceded to John Mahama? I mean, isn't this remarkable and something we hardly see?
Yes, thank you. At least we can pride ourselves as a country. In 2015, Goodluck Jonathan made a call that saved the Nigerian from bloodbath, arguably. But for me, again, I restate, what Bawumia did in Ghana was remarkable. Remarkable because Bawumia saved Ghana from the worst electoral violence that the country would have recorded. The vice president saved the country from the kind of electoral violence that has never happened in Ghana's history. Because as before he made that call, there was already political tension in the country. Collation centers were attacked. There was some form of one person had already been shot, dead, and the tension was gradually building up. And the guy went on air and said, there is no need for this tension to build further. I am conceding, and I have called John D. Mahama. And immediately, even when the tension was supposed to come down immediately, the tension again escalated by way of celebration.
Well, Austin Agbe is a governance expert, and you can get the full interview on our website, wadr.org. It's now time for sports news with Sankule Janko.
Hello there, a warm welcome and thank you for joining us. Football is back in Ghana as the Premier League will return on Saturday, 16 December, after a 2-week break with some intriguing matches to whet the appetites this weekend. The Ghanaian top flight went on a planned break to enable all participants in football to perform their civic duties in national general elections held on December 7, 2024, according to the Ghana Football Association official website. 8 matches will take place across the venues on Saturday, December 14, with the country's super clash between Asante Kotoko and Hearts of Oak set for Sunday, December 15, 2024. Vision FC welcomed Madema SC on Saturday, aiming to return to winning ways. Defending champions FC Smartex 1996 hosts Heart of Lions. Nations FC traveled to Soga Kope to battle struggling Accra Lions at the Wafa Park, while Legon Cities entertain Berkham United at the University of Ghana Stadium, GFA official website reports. Kerala United hosts Gold Stars FC at the Aliu Muhammad Sports Stadium in Tamale. Zultriman FC entertain Dreams FC at home. The Berkham Chelsea face off against Adwana FC in Bono Derby at the Golden City Park, while Basaka Holy Stars hosts Young Apostles at the Amen AAK Second Sports Stadium. Match day 13 concludes with a Sunday afternoon fixture involving Giants, Asante Kotoko and Hearts of Oak. The epic clash will take place at the Baba Yara Stadium in Kumasi on Sunday. And that's it for sports. It's back to you.
And that's it on this edition of Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Thank you for listening, and many thanks to Mustafa Sek for the technical support. Let's keep the conversation coming in all of our social media platforms: X, formerly Twitter, Instagram, WDR News, and Facebook, West Africa Democracy Radio English Service. I am Imo Edet. Good afternoon.
And many thanks to you for listening to Newslink via Hot 104.3 FM, Newmi FM 94.0,
Hilltop Radio 104.7 FM,
and Veritas Radio 102.9 in Banjul, the Gambia. We also appreciate our listeners in Liberia via Alternative Youth Radio 98.9 FM, Lofa County,
Radio Kagama 94.5 FM, Nibe County, DCN Radio 91.3 FM, Riverside County, Wakat FM Radio, Banga, Liberia, Radio Gulf FM 91.3 Sierra Leone.
For you listening via Radio Pad 95.1 Damango, Savannah region, and on Royals FM 104.7 Wenchi, Ghana, we say a big thank you. Remember, West Africa Democracy Radio is all about you, your views, and your opinions.
This season, your security and governance program in the Sahel is getting bigger and more revealing. Save the date every Friday.